we believe that our stress has a lot of purpose. We believe that we have purpose when we have stress in our life. And if I said to you, today, we are going to relieve you of that stress, now what?
Let yourself heal. It's easy to feel.
What happens then is we go look for the next stress. We focus a lot on fixing the broken windows rather than creating an environment where windows don't break. Noticing when do you have the stress, and again, going back to a woman's cycle, noticing in your cycle, also noticing the time of year. So it's really important to take notes. So if you want, jot them down. Even we can break it down: a minute, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year. As in, it all has the same kind of evolution. The way we move through one thing is the way we move through everything. Even noticing in a moment, like in a minute, how you breathe or how you approach, in an hour, in a day. And the easiest thing to do is track a day. You can kind of track your dips, right? I kind of am able to track those energetic kind of peaks for myself in the day, and I try to really ride them and really allow myself to absorb the nurturing when I am in that space. So notice that, and then just notice really what is the neglect, right? The neglected emotion that is unaddressed, because for a lot of us, we justify. We say that it's unnecessary. We're being petty. You don't have time for yourself. Whatever. With the actual theory of broken windows, preventing energetic crime, which for so many of us, we create crimes against ourselves. We commit crimes against ourselves on a daily basis, with the way that we behave towards ourselves. So a great way to help balance that out is to take some time to be more mindful with yourself. Meditation, even Tai Chi, I would say, if you're curious, check that out. But just notice your own approach, your approach to yourself, and where are you punishing yourself or violating yourself, right? Where you're provoking yourself unnecessarily. For a lot of us, it's, we spend a lot of time, screen time, right? A lot of time outside of ourselves. So just notice if you're able to maintain balance in that space. So another piece of this is, which I started with before, is community support and energetic well-being is key, because just like I said, we started with the papers on the floor, right? If you get a leaflet and there's a bunch of leaflets on the floor, it's very easy to dump more leaflets on the floor because there are some already there. For so many of us, in our friendships, in our relationships, with ourselves and with others, a lot of times we'll judge people either by the way they look or their status, and we neglect to look for some of the broken windows, and we struggle with, well, why does this person treat me a certain way, or why are certain elements unsupportive in my life? And a lot of times the things we override are the broken windows. As in, when we really want to look at something honestly, we have to look at the way that person does one thing is the way they do everything. So if you have people in your life that are more refined when it comes to their life approach, right? And you have that community support, sometimes it could feel a little restrictive, but it's like keeping a house clean, maintaining, right? Because it's the maintenance. It's maintenance more than, because you want to always have space to create a mess, create that space to be able to play, but you also want to make sure that there is that cleanup. And sometimes we will see people's behavior, especially when it comes to middos, and this is really, really important. I shared this, I probably will share it a few times, but middos works like it's measurements, right? So in English, middos are measurements. We have to measure the way people do things, and it's like if we're not paying attention to people's middos, it's like baking a cake without using a measuring cup. What's going to happen if I give you a recipe and I just tell you to pour, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do because you don't have the specifics, right? Everything is very random and abstract rather than concrete and structured. For a lot of us, we perceive community support or even a spiritual practice as so rigid, but in truth, it is so important to understand that it's like having measuring cups and using measuring cups in a recipe. For accuracy, we need, if we want something to succeed, we need accuracy. And it kind of goes a little bit against what the West says, right? And this is kind of the misconception. A lot of people will be like, oh, if I make a lot of money, I can solve all my problems or all the world's problems. It's like, no, it can help in one area, but we need to look at these little details and these small areas of broken windows in the sense of how the network that you keep, the people in your neighborhood, right? Think of it as back to crime. Think of it as safety, right? Like when we talk about safety, do the people in your life keep you emotionally safe? Do they protect you? Do they make you feel good about yourself? Or are you living in an emotional environment where there always has to be bars on your windows and alarms on the door, right? So these are little things to inspect because you will perform differently in different areas. And a disclaimer is that nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect. But for some of us, we have people in our life or we're living in an environment where it's just not supportive to who we are. And I don't mean now get rid of everybody in your life. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that, please. But what I would advise is to notice where there might be these cracks in the windows, and what you can do to change them. And what usually happens, and I see this happen in my own life, is, well, how do you get rid of negative energy and inconsistency, right? If it's people or things, is by keeping a rigid schedule, right? If I have a schedule where I'm consistent and committed to my self-care, and somebody will say, oh, you're so self-centered and you're so selfish. No. My physical and spiritual practice are very important to me. And so let's say I have a tendency to get up early. That means that I don't go out and party. I don't go out there and waste my time on a daily basis, mingling in potential areas that just will give me potential, but rather I stick to my schedule. It keeps me out of trouble in the sense that once the people that gravitate towards a time-wasting experiences, they will not come looking for me because they know that I'm stuck. I'm very persistent with my schedule. Same with talking negatively. If I communicate more positively, it is not going to attract people that are more negative. And that is kind of where we begin to clear our own emotional neighborhoods, to create a more safer environment for ourselves. We don't go out there and yell at the people out there or push them away. We just start building structure for ourselves and make sure the windows are not broken. And then people that look for broken windows won't show up in your safe neighborhood. They are going to go to unsafe neighborhoods, metaphorically. Lastly, it's taking the time to, as I always say, the proactive health of fostering a good energy flow. And this is going back to eating right, sleeping right, having a spiritual practice of some kind and really some movement, because these things will really help promote solid health and solid growth and A great way to do this, especially when you have a house full of humans, little or big, or movement in general, is not everything has to be done all at once. It's one task at a time. So take the time to do one task at a time. Something really important to understand is as much time as you think you have in a day, we don't have as much energy. We might have a lot of time, but we don't have as much energy. And to be able to do things correctly, right? If we want to be able to do or perform in certain areas, it's really important and vital to know that you can't be focusing on so many things at the same time. So if goes back to naturally a home, a house does not have a lot of windows in the sense that there's more concrete than windows, is noticing that the more windows you have, the more breakage, the higher chance of breakage. So take the time to know in your life, how many things have you undertaken, right? And you're preaching to the choir here because I am one of those people that have a lot going on in my life, but I'm constantly trying to streamline. So just notice where your energy is going, where it might be escaping. Where's there a draft in the house, and knowing that you don't have as much energy as you have time. The energy in the day comes in spurts and in cycles of monthly cycles. So just notice the things that are important to you, because when you know what's important, you'll be able to prioritize. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that this was insightful.
Let yourself heal. Heal. It's easy to feel.